area aesthetically looks good, you can't sell them like that. Most of the time, software is based on what? On space and cost limitations. And you have to, a lot of times, you have losses on this systems, because what happens is you explain to the customer, we're going to put, let's say, a 3 or 6 kW system up here, and then you said this is the maximum, based on what? On some constraints that you have. So you have to be able to explain any kind of losses that are associated with the system, so the customer understands the realistic point of view. You got to do that very, very specific. Okay. Sometimes the performance is based on what? On power requirements. Sometimes it's based what? On size requirements. What do we mean by this? You say to the guy, okay, we're going to get so much power out of the system, or uninstall your system for a particular size. Power is, I'm going to get so many kWs out, or I'm going to install your system that it is 5. There's a big difference between telling you I'm going to get 5 kW out, or I'm going to install you a 5 kW system. There's a big difference for that. So you got to explain to that. One is performance, one is size. Because you can have 5 kW system and only get 3 kW out of it, okay? Do a very detailed load analysis, okay? If you have to include any system, what? That is utilize batteries. Because now what do you have to do? You have to charge the battery, so you have to have the right components of that. And if you have to have batteries up there, you have to calculate what kind of loads they needed to be what? To be supported by the batteries in case the system goes down. Okay. Now, in the installation, you have a lot of the components like charge controllers or inverters and everything. They have displays or some bells and whistles up there that can calculate or actually calculate and store the amount of what energy is produced during the day, and they have all kinds of monitoring the voltages, monitoring the current, and so forth. So usually a lot of the new inverters that you have now, or charge controllers, they have a lot of those capabilities to do so. If you're really concerned about it, then you put a dedicated utility meter, write the output, so this way you can actually calculate or actually physically show how much power you can generate over there. Actually, I strongly recommend, and I've seen a lot of the companies, and big companies, regardless the inverters that they install, and regardless, they always put a dedicated meter up there just for the purpose of them knowing that actually the system is working, and it is spinning, and the amount of power that they generate. It's a very inexpensive way. It's very typically like you're putting a meter pan up there and a meter up there, and you can see it used. It's just, but again, it's some little bit extra work. And obviously, you have now most of the devices up here. You have a data monitoring things, and it tells you all kinds of information that's going on in your system is working. Extremely important is the site analysis. Okay, that you have to do. All right. Any questions on that? Now is the time where you got questions. Nothing? I got you all quiet. Yeah. The question is, it's always a concern on the shading analysis. Okay, analysis, and the best recommendation as you do is to purchase the instrumentation that you will measure it, and you measure it very carefully, and you actually document the data. But it's extremely important, okay, that when you go there, you analyze your surroundings up there. If you see the area that they're going to be possibly putting the trees, if you have trees, and the trees are going to be growing over a period of time, take that into consideration. Maybe you have to move it. Maybe you have to put the arrays in a different location. Okay. You have to be able, if they're going to put a big building up there and all of a sudden it's going to be what? Shaded. You have to look at that. Sometimes you may have to go all around it, look the zoning requirements around it. You have to make sure that, I mean, I make it a big deal. It is a big deal if you have to deal with it. And the roof. And the roof. Excuse me? It may be required. Like I said, the importance is that if you do have shading, you're losing modules. I mean, all right. And if you lose that, it's not that you're losing a little bit, you're losing a lot. Every little piece, not space. But it's one of those things that if you're going to go and you're going to do a site survey, free site survey, don't assume you're going to go there for 15 minutes. You have to be well organized. You have to have all the instrumentation that you need, and you have to know what you're doing. If it means that you got to get a roofer or a structural engineer or somebody like that, then you have to do so. This is the photovoltaic business. This is, again, the business that entails the whole thing, not just the portion of just running the wires and the conduits and put the clamps up there and the proper, grounding and so forth. If you do this, and let somebody else do the rest of the stuff, and you guys go around the wires up there. Go ahead.
Let's say you have a commercial flat roof, 5,000 square feet. When you go with that electronic shading apparatus you had there, do you set it up a tripod in the middle, or you take shots of different areas?
You take shots of different areas, and you compare it, yes. You take shots of different areas. Depends. You put 400 panels up there. 400 panels. Every area does, so it might be one orientation may have the panels this way, the other one might have it this way, and so forth. You have to get the optimum shading. It's a tedious thing. If you, and again, from the practical point of view, if you're going to go to somebody's house and it has a sloped roof, and this part of it faces south, and the area, and then it becomes pretty straightforward once you know the slope of the roof and what you're going to put into it. You said, okay, this is what the angle of the roof is. This is how much I'm going to get. You take your picture, you measure the roof, you set up your panels, dance one time, space another time. Now all of a sudden you get yourself in a little sketch up here. So when you go to your office, you think about it, and you see how much you're going to get out of it. The first one is going to take 2 hours. The second one, it's going to take you less. The third one, the fourth one, it becomes, much, much easier. The first one obviously is going to take. But don't assume. This is not a job that you have to assume things. First of all, you guys as electricians or engineers or anything like that, you shouldn't assume anything. Because the reason in our industry, because it's a scientific industry, is we have instrumentation that you can provide us with information, and we can, and you have tools that you can actually do your calculations very easily. So with that, it becomes a matter of just doing it. But you cannot do it, right the first time. Once you see 10, 20 roofs, you know a bad roof from a good roof, visually. But if you haven't seen, a roof before, if you haven't climbed on the roof, be careful. One of the things that the book, which I did not cover, is when you study these things, goes over in that particular chapter, it goes over about height and the right boots and the right OSHA requirements and harnesses and all kinds of things. This is, believe it or not, this is one of the most fundamental things, and we're going to cover that as we go through for the actually testing. For the actually testing, if you have to test. The OSHA requirements and the type of protective equipment you have to wear and so forth. So if you're going to take time to take that examination, that is a must. But the answer to your question, yeah, you have to. Take as much amount of data as possible to be able to make yourself into a conclusion. But it becomes very easy to the fact that if you have a slant roof like this and facing south, this is the area you have. You check the roof, you're going to put the panels 3 inches off or 4 inches off the roof. We buy the appropriate racks and so forth. Now, remember